Hey guys, this is Lindsay with Broadster Reviews. We are back with Destiny. We did a whole video on protein with her, and it was honestly probably my favorite video, the best conversation that I've done all year working here. And so we had her back because we thought this is too good. We have to do another one. Today, we're going to talk all about pre-workouts, and a lot of them we're just going over some general questions about pre-workouts. Also, we're going to go over a few of our favorite picks, but we have a full article review on pre-workouts in general. So if we don't get to a specific pre-workout that you're interested in, go ahead and click the link below the like button. There is a full written article review on pre-workouts. There's so many pre-workouts to choose from. Also, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, make sure you are doing that. But let's go ahead, jump right into it. Destiny, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm so excited for today.
I gotta say, like, when Nathan and I got off filming from you with our last protein topic, interview, whatever, we were like, that was the best. That was so much fun. We have to do that again.
So happy to have you back.
Yeah, it was like so full of information. You know that you are like knowledgeable about what you're talking about, and you're just like such a joy to talk to. So I'm excited. And I've gotta say, after our video where we're talking all about protein, you were like, you know, had me sold on Legion, okay? So, like, I immediately went home. I grabbed the Legion protein. It's the cinnamon cereal flavor that we have here at the warehouse, and I, like, just stole it. I was like, guys, this is mine now. And so I've been making it with oatmeal, a little bit extra cinnamon, and then frozen peaches, and it tastes almost like a peach cobbler in the morning.
Oh my gosh, I never thought to do that, but that sounds fantastic.
It's so fantastic. It's like bringing me joy every morning. But if you guys haven't checked out our video on protein, go ahead. We have it on our YouTube, so go ahead and check that out. Okay, so when we were looking at pre-workouts, there was a couple questions, a couple of things that we were just asking ourselves. So one, obviously, is it third-party tested? I know that that is a huge factor. What is the taste? What is the solubility? Are there flavor options? What is the price point per serving of that pre-workout? Or like, how do us personally feel while using it? I know this is so subjective because everybody's going to have a different experience, but could you tell if you had an extra jolt of energy? Do you feel like you had a pump going? Or on the opposite end of the spectrum, did it make you sick? Did you feel too jittery? Like all of kind of the negative side effects that we can find with a lot of cheaper pre-workouts that, you know, maybe we've experienced. So those were the kind of questions we were going through as we were kind of testing those. What are a couple of things that you look for, like just right off the bat when it comes to pre-workout?
I don't take pre-workout because my stomach has never agreed with any brand that I've ever tried. I prefer to just eat food, but, you know, dietitian. But whenever an athlete comes to me asking me, you know, is this a good pre-workout? The things that I normally look for, is it going to provide you energy? If it can increase blood flow, that's also great. And also, some people take pre-workout purely for the motivation factor. They just want to stay focused on what it is that they're doing. They don't want to get distracted with phones or thinking about what they're going to do that day. So if there's any nootropics in it that can help improve focus, that will be helpful too, depending on the person.
Okay, that's great. Now, what are some, you know, you kind of mentioned what they do, what we look for, like what they do. So what are those ingredients that do that? You mentioned nootropics. What are a couple other key ingredients that you look for when recommending a pre-workout?
Caffeine.
Okay.
It's a good natural one, so why not? Any sort of nitric oxide booster, and that could come in the form of dozens of pre-workout ingredients I'm sure we'll cover today. Theanine works well with caffeine as well in terms of focus. L-citrulline and beta-alanine are some of the big ones.
Okay, and then is beta-alanine the one that generally can make people feel the itchy, feel the tingle?
That's the one that makes you feel the tinglies because it's a neurotransmitter, so it does stimulate the nerve endings.
I actually like it. I know some people are like, oh, it may be too itchy. I'm like, bring it on. Let's go. Let's feel the itch.
I can't even grab the bar, so I mean, more power to you.
Okay. I'm just a weirdo all around. So, okay, so when it comes to pre-workouts, what are some ingredients that we should look out for that you would say like, hey, this is in here. I'd be a little leery of this. I don't know if this is a good, you know, quality ingredient to have in your pre-workout.
There's so many, and I'm sure we'll go over it, but pre-workout is like one of the most adulterated supplements that there are out there in terms of having banned ingredients that are just in there to get you jacked, but probably are not regulated. But outside of that, the obvious, sugar alcohols, too much caffeine, so like over 300 milligrams, I think is overdoing it. What we call proprietary blends, like there's a lot of pre-workouts that like have this matrix, and they'll list all of the ingredients and then give you the total of what all those ingredients come to, but you aren't really sure how much of each ingredient is in there. It's a proprietary blend. And basically, if you don't know what it is and you do your research, don't take it.
Okay, that's great. So I actually have a question that's not on the list. I am using like a non-caffeinated, like a Nosimus from Gorilla Mind, which actually has a lot of nitric oxide in it. So I think that that's one of the reasons that I like it. But when it comes to caffeine, you're saying, you know, if it's over that 300 milligram, when somebody's drinking coffee in the morning and then they go and take a, you know, stimulated or a caffeinated pre-workout, what's kind of the range that you go like, I wouldn't take that much caffeine this close together. I wouldn't, you know what I mean?
I wouldn't drink like a cup of coffee and have pre-workout like in the same morning. That's just way too much. Especially since your cup of coffee, Lindsay, is probably different than my cup of coffee, which is like, you know what I mean? And depending on what kind of roast it is, it's just, you're just sort of playing with fire with the caffeine dosages when you don't really have to. So it's just better to be on the safe side.
Okay, no, that's great. Yeah, my husband actually makes fun of me because I generally like never finish anything. I always leave like 10%. So he's like, you can't call yourself a true coffee drinker. I'm like, I am. I drink 90%. Leave me alone.
You are.
Okay. Thank you for affirming me. Okay, so why do dosage in pre-workout matter? So a lot of pre-workouts have like a different dose of creatine if they have creatine in them, a different dose of beta-alanine, a different dose of L-citrulline. Like, what makes a pre-workout good, and like what are the dosage that you would like look for to say, hey, you know, we at least want this amount of L-citrulline, or like we at least want this amount of XYZ?
Okay, so this is the biggest thing when an athlete comes to me with a pre-workout is I look at the dosages, and it's usually the biggest complaint that I have with most pre-workouts is that a lot of people know what ingredients they want, they don't know the amount. So a lot of times companies will put the smallest amount they can in the pre-workout to save money, but it's not what we call the efficacious dose, meaning the dose that was done on the studies that says that the substance is effective and makes it effective. There's not enough in it. So what you want to look for with caffeine, obviously whatever your tolerance is, between 200 and 300 is usually enough to give you an energy boost. Beta-alanine, you want to have at least 3 to 7 grams. Creatine, at least 5 grams, always. And with L-citrulline, the range could be anywhere from 5 grams to 10 grams.
Okay, so aside from those kind of like key beta-alanine, creatine, L-citrulline, and then nitric oxide, is there any other ingredient that you would say this would be really beneficial to look for in a pre-workout? Outside
of those, not really. Maybe betaine. I really have never said that word out loud. I've always talked about it, but betaine and an anhydrous. If you do want to have that, it sort of works synergistically with creatine. You would want to have at least 2.5 grams of that.
Awesome. Okay, that is so good. Okay, so when it comes to athletes in particular, what should athletes be concerned about when they're looking for a pre-workout? Like, I feel like there's a difference between kind of our general gym goers and then like the athletes that you probably work closely with.
Yeah. Honestly, when it comes to athletes, they really don't need a whole bunch of bells and whistles. I normally tell them, what is it that you're looking for? Are you looking for energy? Try to find one that has caffeine. If you're looking for focus, try to find one that has something like ashwagandha in it, or, you know, whatever. But for high-performing athletes, things like creatine and L-citrulline and beta-alanine are some big ones that they might want to look for.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so there is a lot of different ways, I would say 2 ways that people take pre-workout. Obviously, mixing it with water, and the other is dry scooping. I've seen so many horror stories of people dry scooping pre-workout. What are your thoughts? Like, is that a smart way to take pre-workout? I mean,
my friend who used to be a bodybuilding, she was like a bikini competitor. I used to go to the gym with her, and I would turn around in the locker room and she's just dumping blue pre-workout under her tongue, and I'm like cringing. She was a dietitian too. I'm like, what are you doing? No. Do not take your caffeine with anything other than the recommended amount of liquid, usually around 8 ounces. And especially if you're doing something like putting it under your tongue, like I see a lot of people doing, that really enhances the absorption, which a lot of people think is a good thing. But considering all the compounds, multiple compounds that are usually in pre-workout that affect your blood pressure and whatnot, rushing your system with all those substances could actually be really, really dangerous for your heart. And it also can be bad for your stomach because you're getting all of these pre-digested compounds, a lot of which are artificial, without any dilution. So it could give you some stomach upset and all that as well. So it's just a bad idea all around. Just drink water with it. You'll be okay.
Okay, that is so good. I mean, I didn't like dry scooping just because I was like, like coughing up a cloud. But there's actual reasons not to dry scoop.
Well, that too. I mean, you can also inhale the powder if you don't swallow it right away. And now you have artificial substances in your lungs, which increases your risk for infection. It's just all bad.
Okay.
Like, it's just a bad idea.
Okay. So is there like a timeline in which you would recommend taking pre-workout? So an hour before pre-workout, finish that whole thing? Or like, what is a good time to take it before your workout to make sure that you're getting all the benefits that it has?
Since every pre-workout is different, it's difficult for me to say that. Some people take it right before. If you need to take it with a large volume of liquid, say if you're taking a massive like gorilla type pre-workout, then maybe take it an hour before. But generally about 20 to 30 minutes before should do the trick.
Okay, so let's talk about just 4 of the pre-workouts that we have on our list today. And we're going to start off with my pick. This is my favorite pre-workout I've ever tried. So I had just seen, I don't know if you're familiar with the powerlifter. Her name is Joy. Her Instagram's like Joy Lab. She's, just incredible, like benching close to like 280 for reps at this point. And so she was talking a lot about Gorilla Mind, which got me interested. And it was the first pre-workout that I took that didn't upset my stomach if I would do like a high intensity piece. What I found for me personally was if I was just lifting, I could do pre-workouts. But if I'm doing a CrossFit piece and I would take a pre-workout, when I started really getting my blood flowing and getting moving, I would just start feeling so sick. And so the Gorilla Mind was one that I found didn't do that. So I've kind of like stuck with it this whole way through. So what is good and not so good about the Gorilla Mind formula? And I know that, it does have that nitric oxide that we've talked about.
Yeah. So I love the L-citrulline in it, and I'm glad that it makes you feel good. I do have a couple of problems with this pre-workout, though. There's only 2.5 grams of creatine in it. So if you're the sort of person who takes it because you don't want to have to take your creatine, I hate to burst your bubble, but there's not enough in here to be a substitute unless you're taking 2 scoops.
No, that's so good. And I did know that. And for me, like, if I'm just honest, like, I'll try and take more creatine throughout the day, but I'm not. Like, sometimes I just don't get to it. So I'm like, well, at least I'm getting 2.5,
Well, I'm right there with you. This is better than nothing. So you got me there. And I'm not a huge fan of pre-workouts that have a lot of ingredients that all do the same thing, like citrulline, glycer pump, creatine, nitrosazine. It all goes towards improving blood flow so that you can get that pump, which I'm sure like feels great, but it's like you could probably take like 1 or 2 of these things and you'll still get a pump. So it's just like the excessive ingredients are not super my jam. But the biggest problem I have with this is for athletes. If you're a weightlifter and this makes you feel great, but it does have glycerol in it, which is a substance that's prohibited by WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency. So I wouldn't recommend an athlete that gets drug tested to take this pre-workout.
That's so interesting. What is it about that ingredient that kind of like sets off alarms with a testing site?
So with nitric oxide, it improves blood flow. It opens up the blood vessels. That's totally fine. But WADA prohibits any sort of substance that increases blood volume, which is something that glycerol does. Because it just gives such an unfair advantage. I think whoever did the Tour de France, the cyclist, was found to be doing like blood doping. So like injecting himself with red blood cells, it does the exact same effect. It's just totally prohibited. So I wouldn't recommend it to an elite.
Okay, no, that's so good to know. And then also I saw that it has malic acid. What does this do? This is an ingredient that I haven't seen a ton of in other pre-workouts on our list.
I'm pretty sure that malic acid is another nootropic, but I think it might also clear some of the exercise-induced inflammation to reduce exercise-based soreness when you finish the workout.
Okay, and that makes sense because I would say this is my personal subjective experience. I was not feeling sore. And then we went through a cycle. We were testing other pre-workouts for a couple weeks at a time. And I would say I began being more sore. And so looking back, I do wonder if that just sort of helped with my recovery a little bit better. I don't know. That's a subjective experience, but as you're talking about it, that's immediately what I thought. Okay. So let's talk about the Onnit Alpha Brain pre-workout. What is good and then not good about this formula? And also, there's not a lot of information on their website about this formula.
Yeah, honestly, I did a review of this pre-workout a while back, and it confused me. I'm going to be honest with you, Lindsay. What's good is it has, I call it like the starter pack of pre-workout that has like all the basic ingredients that we were talking about before, but then it's also got some extra stuff thrown in that doesn't really need to be there. It has dynamine, which, some people say enhances the effect of caffeine, but there's not really a lot of research behind that. And then there's palm oil in it for some reason. And palm oil really doesn't have much function in anything outside of being maybe a mild antioxidant. I really don't know what to say about this one.
Okay. So it says that it has Nuganda, which is like their patented ashwagandha. It says a trademark form of ashwagandha with nootropic properties. And you said that nootropics can aid. So go over briefly why ashwagandha is a good thing to look for in a pre-workout.
Yeah, so ashwagandha is one of those things that it just increases your focus by relieving stress, relieving some of your stress hormones. I know a lot of my athletes take just ashwagandha straight, but it does what a lot of the other nootropics does. Just it's more favorable for a lot of people because unlike things like L-citrulline or beta-alanine, which are artificially made, it's more natural because it comes from an herb. I will say though, if you're thinking of taking ashwagandha by itself, it does not taste very good. The word ashwagandha literally means like a horse because it smells like a horse. So big asterisk there.
Okay. That's so amazing. I didn't know that. So you learn something new every day. That's so good. Okay, so when you're looking at the Onnit, we kind of gave it to the editor's choice. So I had the Gorilla Mind. This was theirs. Is there anything else you could speak to on the Onnit Alpha Brain pre-workout? Is that just like because of its nootropic properties? Is that just a good one if you're really looking for that focus element in the gym?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this one is higher in sort of the nootropics compared to more typical pre-workouts. So if your main goal, again, with taking pre-workout is because you need that focus, you don't care about the energy or any of that, you just need the motivation, then this would be the one for you.
Awesome. All right. So we're going to go over our best pre-workout overall transparent labs bulk, which I know with protein, you really like transparent labs. They are transparent in their name. Okay. So what is good and then not so good about the pre-workout formula of transparent labs?
I mean, I hate to feel like I'm playing favorites here, but there's not a whole lot that I don't like about transparent labs products ever because they're just so careful about making their formulation without any frills and our ingredients are in there for a reason. They're not just throwing things at the wall to make it look more impressive. So what I think is particularly good about it is there's 200 milligrams of caffeine, so it's not too much, not too little. But I also love the extra micronutrients. So like B vitamins, zinc, potassium, those are always welcome. Why not? And it also has BioPeri, which is a black pepper extract, which can help absorb nutrients. So when you throw BioPeri in a pre-workout like this, it can help your body to better digest all of the different compounds that are in a pre-workout, which could also be better on the stomach.
Oh man, that's so interesting. And right now I'm like a little sick. So the fact that you said it has zinc in it, I'm like, okay, I'll get on that. We'll just do that one. Okay, so this has a lot of L-citrulline in it. Is that a good or a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing at all. Like I said before, the maximum efficacious dose is about 10 milligrams. So if there's more than 10 grams, then that's too much. But it has been shown to be effective from anywhere from 5 grams to 10 grams. And I think that Transparent Labs has 8 grams in it. So
good.
Not
Okay. So the last one I want to briefly talk about is our best all-in-one pre-workout, and that is from Cage. It's the Cage pre-workout. It has coconut powder in this. I have not seen that before. Why? What is coconut powder? Tell me.
So a lot of sports supplements include coconut water, coconut powder, and all of that just because of the hype around coconut and hydration. The problem with coconut is that it is very high in potassium, very low in sodium. So whenever you sweat, what are you losing? You're not losing a ton of potassium, it's sodium, right? I mean, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but it just sort of seems extraneous because what do you really need all that extra potassium for? It's not super necessary. So they probably put it in there for like a hydration matrix, but no.
Also take like salt with it.
Yeah, no, exactly. If there was salt with it, then we would be great. But there's only 40 milligrams of sodium, which is like nothing.
Okay.
So not enough to really create any sort of electrolyte mix.
Okay, and then it says that do you need BCAAs in a pre-workout? I've always read like to take them after, but I could be totally wrong in this. There's so much information on the internet. We're just trying to navigate, right?
Right. So BCAAs really don't do a whole heck of a lot as a supplement, to be honest. I do recommend it to people who do fasted training. So if you woke up first thing in the morning, hadn't eaten anything, BCAAs may be able to help prevent catabolism from you not having any fuel in your body by just giving your body some extra amino acids temporarily until you can finish your workout and get a protein source. So having BCAAs in a pre-workout, especially if you train fasted, could actually be beneficial.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. All right. And then it says that they have a focus matrix. So what are your thoughts on a focus matrix? Does it have good ingredients and like proper doses within that? I'm guessing it's like a proprietary blend of something.
I wouldn't necessarily call it a proprietary blend because they do list all the ingredients and the amounts of the ingredients. So I like that. But the ingredients themselves, the doses seem small. I don't pretend to know off the top of my head what the efficacious dose is of all of these ingredients in the matrix, but I will say that it seems like they're not significant amounts. And I'm not sure why there's 2 types of L-tyrosine. I feel like that's not really super necessary. But the only thing that I see in here that might be effective is taurine, which is known to be a nootropic. But I don't necessarily see a need to have all 4 of these ingredients in the amounts that there are.
Okay, so I know that you said you don't take pre-workout for yourself. So what do you do before you hit the gym? Obviously, you're a dietitian. You're going to rely heavily on food. Is it oats? What is it?
I don't rely on pre-workout, but I will take some from time to time. And when I do take it, it's this one. Can you guess? Did you guess that this is my favorite?
I mean, I kind of figured. I was just waiting.
Yeah, all natural, 8 grams of L-citrulline, not artificially sweetened, all natural flavors, all bad. They've got so many great flavors. And whenever I'm not taking pre-workout, I only really need that if I'm feeling super tired or if I can't make a breakfast. Have some fast digesting carbohydrates, so something like cereal or toast. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. You don't need to make a whole brunch spread, but just something that's high carb, that is low in fat and protein, that's going to digest quickly before you get to the gym so that your glucose is nice and high before you start that workout.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you being on here, talking to us again, all about pre-workout. Guys, again, we have so many more listed on the website. So if you want to check out that full article, go ahead, click the link below, the like button. It'll take you there and see all of the things that we have said, and then also some of the things we didn't get to say today. I hope you guys have a good rest of the day, and we'll see you back here next time. This has been Lindsay. Peace.